Welcome back to ACT Program Webinars for Healthcare Professionals. I'm Robin Geiger, SVP Clinician Advocacy for Ingenovis Health. Today, we return for the second webinar in the self-care series, Wellness from Within, with presenter Dr. Samantha Hedgspeth. I have the pleasure now of reintroducing our speaker today. Dr. Samantha Hedgspeth is founder and CEO of the Hedgspeth Group. With a Doctor of Philosophy, PhD in Business Administration, she specializes in organizational leadership. The Hedgspeth Group creates business development success as a solutions provider of executive coaching and consulting. Dr. Hedgspeth is a well-known speaker, doctoral professor for Liberty University, book author, and serves as member speaker with the global think tank GoTKM. And now, our presenter, Dr. Hedgspeth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Geiger. I greatly appreciate that beautiful introduction. I was just saying to myself, wow, I'd like to meet Dr. Hedgspeth. From that introduction, I greatly appreciate it. So we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. And welcome to part 2 of my self-care mini-series, Wellness from Within, and you are class of 2023. Today, let's elevate to graduate our thinking. As Dr. Geiger said, I am Dr. Samantha Hedgspeth, and we will walk through locating a more excellent you. I look forward to our time together. What we discuss today, I want you to know, is not an absolute, but rather options, or what I like to deem as best practices for unearthing dreams and visions, finding peace and harmony. Elevate to graduate your thinking and finding your center of being in a happy place where you have checks and balances to stress, struggle, and the path to satisfaction. From this discussion, perhaps you will see a clear prescription to realizing you can still do it, whatever it is. Maybe you don't want to do it anymore, or you want to find something else. What we learn today will be applicable to your best inner self, and it is okay if no one else catches the vision so long as you do. I am going to share my real life story in real time, hoping to inspire or reignite you to follow your heart, hopes, and aspirations for a happier you. Please have pen and paper handy, as we do have an exercise at the end of these slides. So this is really all about you. First, if you attended part 1 of this mini series, you heard me say this before, but I cannot say it enough to everyone in the healthcare industry, great and small, on the front line of the ER or behind a desk as support staff, and so many more. Thank you for all that you do, especially during the height of the pandemic and beyond. Many of you have been ill, have had loved ones ill, and even lost family and friends yourself, like the rest of us. But you have continued working for the greater good of society at large. Thank you for your sacrifice, for your love, and for your dedication to this profession. Because of your dedication, Ingenovis Health and its partners have provided the ACT program just for you, the Advocacy Career Tools, a proprietary program. ACT provides clinicians with the tools and resources you need to flourish and grow as people and to advance your careers as professionals. It is a collection of efforts and investments to foster a holistic approach to your best well-being. I see life as a journey, not a destination, and full of the unexpected. Wellness is intentional, though. Wellness meaning what makes you feel whole and good about yourself, that which we intentionally do to prevent illness and prolong life, a happy place, your center. So, does life feel like a blur and you are completely exhausted? You work 8 hours plus every day and sometimes on the weekend. You are always encouraging others, but you have not started writing your book, nor started your home improvement projects, haven't signed up for your paint lessons, haven't shopped for a better mattress, and so on and so on and so on. Oftentimes, you feel that you are in the twilight zone. You have crossed over into the twilight zone. The daily isms and schisms, the stress, the pressures that we all endure just eats away at us. With all that is going on in our lives daily, we lose focus, energy, peace, and balance. We lose ourselves, our hopes, and our dreams. And reality is, what about you? What about you? As we have seen over the past 3 years, life happens without warning. So when will you pause to have a slice of your life for yourself? You must fight to rise from the ashes of this post-pandemic chaos, shake off the fear, and map your next moves. Why? Glad you asked. Yes, this is Earth with you. This is Earth without you. Without you, the Earth will still go on, continue. It'll keep combusting and churning just the same as with you. So you must have better self-awareness to optimize the time you have on this planet. So Tasha Urich, an organizational psychologist, researcher, and New York Times bestseller, notes one general definition of self-awareness as the ability to monitor our inner world. I have often broken the monitoring of the inner world into 4 categories that we will discuss in a few slides. But first, let me show you the mayhem that caused me to discover those 4 vital categories of my inner world. So after many years of marriage and a really, really prosperous career as a full-time multi-million-dollar top producer in residential real estate, a few things happened over a span of 3 years. The real estate market crashed, I was separated, headed for divorce, and my health took an unexpected spiral downward. I had numerous surgeries, was on a multiplicity of medications, and headed for more surgeries. Stress oozed from my pores. I have even watched myself flatline as a medicine administered to me in the ER to bring my heart down to a complete stop so that it can restart and beat at a normal rate. Once my heart stopped, my muscles reacted and pain streaked over my body like lightning across the sky, starting up from my legs, through my torso, through my face, and out of the top of my head, it seemed like. I went through that process 12 to 14 times over the span of a year. So the nurses in the local ER and the first responders in my neighborhood knew me very well. In addition to all of that mayhem, for years, I felt like a complete and total failure. I had not finished my undergrad, now headed for divorce. It's almost time for my children to start college, still needing to figure out my next career move. I was so afraid, I was hurt, disappointed about my life, wondering how me and my girls will survive this barrage of catastrophes. Anxiety and stress was like a never-ending tsunami. I learned to crawl, walk, then eventually run through this storm, using these 4 categories to address my chaotic inner world. But again, I ask you, what about you? Now knowing more about my journey and that I'm a real live person, not just a talking head on a webinar, again, I ask, what about you? Is there a goal or a project you wanted to do for so long and have not started it, afraid to start it, or feel like you don't have the resources to start it? Imagine that goal or project and let's work on it together from your inner world. So, self-awareness requires self-reflection. Facing your hindrances, aka roadblocks to better self-care and inner healing, is where we start. Warning, this process can be painful and is not an absolute solution, but an option. We are going to take the bull by the horns for our holistic approach to progress. How are you treating you? Let's take a look at hindrances I faced during my craziest times. Maybe you can identify with some of these themes. So, stress inducers, external sources. These are a few external sources, or what I identified as external stress inducers for my life. Being overworked, no vacations, project deadlines moved up, underappreciated, no recognition, hostile working environment, toxic relationships, and so on and so on and so on. All of the above is at work and or at home. Bullet 2, mental health. I call these internal termites. These are what I call, like I said, internal termites, those thoughts that eat away and affect our self-image, our self-esteem. It configures awkward behaviors and impacts how we interact with other people. For example, the torment of perfectionism. Your work is never good enough, so you do it 99 more times. Double-mindedness. You clearly see a good, sound decision on a matter, then you think of something negative that may happen, and you end up like a deer in headlights, never pulling the trigger, thus plagued with the termite of procrastination. Another termite of suffering through this whole process is rejection. A lot of people don't know so many of us suffer with rejection, not feeling love, never feeling accepted. Ultimately, rejection can spawn into unhealthy self-image, low self-esteem, and a never-ending cycle, it seems like, of guilt-tripping yourself about things you feel you cannot do. You're not good enough. You don't know enough. It's just not a good mindset. More food for thought. You are what you eat in the physical, but people need to realize that that principle holds true for your mental health. Reassess what you intake with your senses, watching and listening to, etc. It plays a role on the wellness or non-wellness of your state of mind. For example, something as simple as not watching love stories when you are going through a divorce. I can only speak for myself, but I would end up watching these stories. I would end up stewing. And then, you're yelling at the TV and you're like, yeah, that's garbage, blah, blah, blah. That type of, thinking only causes you to focus on the negative and spiral into an unhappy place. Another example is, I know this young girl who has some mental health challenges, and she'll pick at her skin till her skin bleeds, till it opens. She'll just yell and outburst and different things. But when, she was having a clear moment and we were talking, she was asking me for horror books. She was asking me for horror books. And I was like, oh my gracious, that is something she should not be feeding on with her challenges at the moment. So bullet 3, physical health. Not driven, but you must try. During those times, who feels like exercising, if you're going through depression and you just want to lay on the sofa with your favorite chocolate, no exercise or not enough exercise, an unhealthy diet and sedentary lifestyle can hinder a good quality of life and make way for unwanted illnesses. Sitting all day, we get stiff, lose mobility, and range of motion. And that only gets worse as we get older. So we've got to get a grip on it now, right now, whatever age we are. We have got to ensure that we stay mobile and keep our range of motion. And we'll talk about that a little later in the presentation. If we don't use it, we lose it. In addition, not enough rest falls in this category, not enough water. These elements seem simple, but can trigger so many malfunctions in the body. And I had to learn it the hard way, and I'm hoping that you don't. And if you do, I'm hoping today moving forward, all these things will change for you. Bullet 4, personal goals. We have dreams, we have visions, we have hopes, but you've made no commitment to them. No plan to ever execute, because you feel overwhelmed as though you don't think that you can do it, and you can. What is it that you really want to do? What will make you happy to wake up every morning and hit the ground running? You can start that business. Dedicate time to do the research. You want that degree, but you don't know if you will be successful, if you can do it. Yes, I'm here to give you the answer today. Yes, you are smart enough to get that degree, to open that business. Don't listen to that voice, those termites. Don't listen to them. You can do what you put your mind to do. So the time for change is now. Do not continue to agree with situations and thinking that hinders you from being a better you. It is guaranteed that life will throw you lemons, hurdles, and challenges. That's a guarantee. It is up to you to transform your experiences into lemonade, overcoming, and accomplishments. Cut out some personal time in your schedule weekly, monthly, or maybe even daily, that you can gather your thoughts while sitting on the charger, whatever your charger is, what you love to do. That could be sitting on the sofa, or your charger may be sitting alone in Starbucks for an hour, 3 times a week, and working on your business plan, or making sure, I love this, or making sure you read 1 chapter in that book you love before going to bed. Only you know what is value added and time well spent to re-energize you. If you live with loved ones, you may even need to have a family meeting and explain how you are reordering some things and invite them to take the journey with you. I suggest you watch the first video on reconditioning relationships. You can use some of those principles that I shared in that video just to, with your family, and just to have that discussion. Hey, we've got to have some change of habits. Let's set some goals and reach for them if you're not already doing it. Surely there is something they really want to do. So get them on board with your vision. And so after coming through so much, I literally found myself in these 4 categories of what was really eating at me, my inner world, and stealing my center, stealing my place of peace. Time to break out from your hindrances as I did. You may not have the same hindrances, but surely there's something that you want to get rid of in your life, that you could soar higher if you did. These 4 categories helped me in the past to face off with hindrances of why I wasn't reaching a particular goal or didn't have time for myself. We covered some of my main hindrances a few slides ago. Now we are going to identify a goal for you, and how to reduce that external stress. Confess and believe the opposite of those termite thoughts about yourself. Put some form of physical activity on the menu. So let's do it, shall we? So for bullet 1, I hope you have that pen and paper handy. No one's checking, so there's no wrong answers. This is your private piece of paper. So I'm asking you to please be very, very, very honest with yourself. That you can refer back to this piece of paper, lather, rinse, and repeat for your different goals, different hopes, different things, big and small, that you want to do in your life. So for bullet number 1, list that goal. You may have had a goal or a dream pop up in your head as I was talking, or some type of ambition. This will be, for this exercise, your North Star. All right, your North Star, what you really want to do. You may want to open up a bakery. You've been an executive for so long, you're tired of the executive game. You may want to write a book and start your own webinars or your own training sessions for leadership. If you're not able to open that bakery, start out at a farmer's market. You don't have to go and get commercial space. You can bake the cookies and go set up a stand at a farmer's market, and then do the research and find out the circuit of the bakers, farmers markets that are going on in your area. And then that, again, for that executive leadership, you may want to start a young entrepreneurs group at the local library and just mentor, younger generations. So there's lots of things. Everyone has a goal. Everyone can do something. So write that goal down. So bullet number 2, what new behavior, because remember this bullet talking about stress inducers, we're now going to talk about and identify stress reducers. So what new behavior or modification to your life will reduce your stress levels in relation to completing this particular goal you just wrote down? For example, scheduling dedicated time to work on your goal, finding a quiet place or a happy place. Again, that may be Starbucks, or my favorite, Panera Bread, or the library. Having the cooperation or input from your family may make a difference for you. Or here is a big one. Consider not sharing this goal with people who berate, criticize, and chastise you, as they have done consistently in the past with your other ideas and plans. We are open to constructive criticism, but that is different from just toxic feedback. Sometimes people's toxicity spills over onto us, and we have to be careful not to spill that onto other people. But sometimes you have to keep your dreams and your goals private until you're reaching a success level with them, and then you can share. Because sometimes if we share them before, other people's perspectives really knock us down before we can even get started. And sometimes we'll decide not to do them. But today is the day of change, a new horizon for you today, okay? So the third bullet is write down, this sounds crazy, but roll with me, entertain me, okay? Write down the positive that's just the opposite of the negative that you thought about yourself in completing this goal previously. So write down the positive of those termites that have been eating at you. If you were saying to yourself, I am not smart enough, then you write down, I am smart. Put down a positive affirmation, the opposite of those termites. And do not compare yourself to anyone else but you. See how you can improve your stats of accomplishments always. When I was in real estate, and I would interview for a listing, people would say, oh, well, how do you deal with the competition, in the area? I would say, well, my competition is myself. So I always do an audit of people, places, and things every October, those things that work for me, those things that did not work for me, so that I would know where to springboard the next year. But I am my only competition, because what's for me is for me. And that same principle is in operation for you. What is for you is for you. So get in place, get in position to receive it and walk in it. Don't compare yourself to other people, because there'll always be someone doing more or someone doing less. You strive for a new high for yourself. Okay, so bullet 4, we're going to deep dive on this bullet because this one is so serious. Bullet 4, all of these bullets are equally as important actually. In centering ourselves, we must have better mobility. There is nothing like, being stiff, trying to walk and joints inflamed. We can be preemptive with simple routines. And I say that because I'm someone who, in the midst of all of that chaos you saw earlier, I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis. And this is, you all are clinicians, so I know you know what that is. But for some people who may not be clinicians that joined us today, that's an autoimmune of the lungs. And when that thing hit me, bam, it hit me. My feet were so swollen, my joints ached so bad. And I had to research, and find solutions to help me. My feet hurt so bad I could barely walk. Every day it was torturous for me. And at a certain point, I couldn't even exercise. So I was determined once I got up from that trial that I would at least increase my activity, do things that would keep the fluid flowing off of me, take anti-inflammatory, some type of healthy anti-inflammatory. Everyone sees this seasoning turmeric. You can learn to cook with it. You can order turmeric capsules from Amazon and get different varieties, different strengths of turmeric. But that is really, really good. A natural remedy for inflammation. And then the next thing would be for you to find out actually what's causing the inflammation, because it can be caused by stress. Just like if you have lupus or any other autoimmune, it can be caused by stress or an allergic reaction. And I really found out that I was ODing. From all the stress, I was ODing on peanut M&Ms and developed an allergic reaction. I was eating too many other chocolates and I was developing an allergic reaction and the gluten and all those things. But anyway, you clinicians know all about that stuff. And then there were some hereditary factors in there. And so, but you do, my favorite thing to do, and I still love to do it because it helps me tremendously. And I'm asking you to make it a practice if you don't already, or if you don't already have some activities built into your routine. I love to stretch when I first get up in the morning because my body is already warm from the covers. I'm not starting out cold. I'm already warm. And I just spent the night in the fetal position with my neck crunched and sleeping with my body twisted. That is the perfect time for us to stretch and to work out, the kinks that we've put in our own bodies. So stretch, start out with just 15 minutes. If you find it difficult to do, of course, do it to your best ability. Do what you can do. You don't have to do what someone else does. If possible, light stretching before you go to bed to work out the kinks from our daily routines, sitting in that chair all day. Now our lower back is killing us. The way we sit with our shoulders hunched over, and now some of us are getting that little hump on the back of our necks. And so you just need to stretch, and reset your body, So this helps tremendously with your range of motion and strength, which we need to keep going to the positive. I don't like to say older, but the more seasoned we get in life, really. My stretching can actually last up to an hour now, and I not even know an hour go by. I infuse faith meditation. I play soft worship music or meditation piano music and close my eyes, finding my center. A place of peace and calm to start my day. There's just so much going on in our minds when we go to bed, but when we get up, let's let's be intentional. Wellness is intentional. Let's be intentional about just finding some calm, creating some calm before we start our day. Also try this for physical health. This is, try this also. I came up with these 3 steps, of course, these 3 steps during that chaotic period. And I personally lost so much weight personally, and I still continue to eat anything I wanted to eat. I ate steak, I ate fried chicken, I ate chocolate cake, but I had to do these 3 things. Stop eating when you feel full. We force and train ourselves culture-wise to consume supersized portions. So 1, stop eating when you feel full. Save the rest of it for a snack or your meal or lunch the next day, but just stop. When you feel you're full, just stop. And you'll find out your stomach will begin to shrink and you'll eat smaller portions. And this was just something I came up with and it just worked. 2, after a meal, do not drink anything up to 20 or 30 minutes. After 20 or 30 minutes, try to wait as long as you possibly can. Leave the bile in your stomach, or that is excreted in your stomach, to break down your food. Leave it concentrated to do its job and break down your food. Don't dilute it with drink. Leave it concentrated, and you'll feel a difference once you leave it in there working 20, 30 minutes. And then like for me, at least, I feel a release. And then I'm like, okay, I can get a drink now. And so that was number 2. Number 3, try not to eat after 7 p.m. Try not to eat after 7 p.m. It was the hardest thing for me to do. But then, if you watch the last video, I am diabetic. So even for me to take my night meds, I have to have something on my stomach. Or sometimes I would get hungry because I do stay up late. I'm a night owl. I'm always up late. So about midnight, I would want something, to nibble on. So give your system time and space to process your food, and then try not to eat after 7. If you do need to eat or want something to eat, just try to make it a small amount of something. Sometimes I would just eat a small piece of protein, and it may have been a steak, but I knew my body was going to start breaking that protein down. So I ate like a little, maybe 2 or 3 bites of it. Or sometimes I would eat protein balanced with a little bit of carbs because, they balance each other out. So I would make some tuna fish and eat it with a few crackers. With your intake modification, I never called it diet, because if I say diet, I'm gonna start starving. My stomach will start growling. I'm gonna head for the cake aisle in the grocery store. So I never say diet. I never do diets. I've tried them when I was younger. It does not work for me. I just have to modify my intake, increase my activity. And that way I can I can eat anything I want to eat. I have to watch when I eat it, what time I eat it. If I want to eat something really heavy, I try to make that lunch. If I want to eat something really fatty or heavy, because then I have all day to kind of walk that off, do something with it instead of it sitting as I sleep. Add in walking either 30 minutes a day for 5 days, or a half hour 3 times a day, or 15 minutes every day. Just increase your activity. Just increase your activity. We mentioned this earlier, but drink a healthy amount of water. Some say, drink a gallon a day. I tend to drink about 3 liters a day because I really love water. So sometimes it's more than 3 liters a day. Do what feels right for your body. But, as clinicians, too much water and you can overflush your electrolytes. That triggers palpitations and some other issues. I found that out the hard way. So I'm giving you empirical data here. And then I would have to replenish, maybe drink Powerade instead of Gatorade because I have high blood pressure. So Powerade is half the sodium. I really love vitamin water, the Revive one. That's the purple and black label, because that one is very potent in antioxidants, high in vitamin Bs for, energy, potassium, and other electrolytes. So that was my favorite. I never bought any other vitamin waters but the purple one. Also, I highly recommend for this physical piece, take a probiotic. Please and thank you. Help yourself. I use Culturelle, I use Align, and sometimes I'll use both of them together. It just depends. If I have eaten something like a steak, because I love prime rib, but I will take a Culturelle and an Align together, and it does not overflush my system. It seems that the two work differently in my system, actually. One gets my lower intestines and one gets my higher intestines. Do I know the science behind that? No, I'm just telling you what happens and how I feel. I love both of those combined together. Then I'll take a few days and give it a break. And I won't take anything. And then I'll go back to taking Culturelle one a day, and then I'll switch up and take Align one a day. If I eat something really heavy, I'll take them both. Sometimes right at the table with the meal, but it works. So take a probiotic to help your gut health. Let's do what I wanted to do was just a couple of chair exercises, and then we'll move forward with, but sitting right in your chair, right where you are, okay? Just begin to just take your arms up and down, and that'll warm up your shoulders. And these are things you can do right at work. As you work late, this is not hard, is it? Do it. And then now we're gonna hold both arms up for as long as you can hold it up. Just hold both arms up. This works on the tension in your shoulder here. Try to hold your shoulders back like you're pulling your blades, your shoulder blades together in the back. Hold your arms, and your hands are like this. I know it's kind of hard to see that, but hold your arms straight up. And that tension, at first it's crazy, but then slowly turn your hands towards the floor, slowly, and make sure you're pulling your shoulder blades together. Make sure you're pulling your shoulder blades together, and just slowly bring those arms down. Once you bring those arms down, completely relax your shoulders, completely. And for me, that releases, roll your shoulders back. And that should have released some of the stress. You can even do simple, and that's just something you can do inside of 2 minutes right at your desk. And that's only upper body, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to show you full body workout. But even if you hold your arms up and you crisscross, hold your core tight, hold your core tight, your body, hold your core tight. And then you can literally do some crisscross exercises right at your desk. But I just wanted to share a couple of moves with you so you can take that with you. And I also want to share these two people I follow on Instagram. I love these two people right here. They always have loads and loads and loads of information on wellness, better wellness physically. So this is Julie. Julie is a movement and life coach, and her handle is there for Instagram at the bottom of her picture. She specializes in alternative and holistic health services, such as digestive care and migraine treatment. So Julie is big on gently massaging your lymph node, your lymphatic drainage points on a regular basis. I have found that is really, really helpful for me because I am very sedentary in the evenings sitting on my computer. So it really helps me and my circulation issues to massage the upper and inner thigh points. Like number 9, you can't see it because the number is so small on that picture. But there's number 9 and number 8 behind the knees, on the knees, and 0.6. And then at the ankles, 0.5 and 4 for your ankles and feet. I try and hit all of the upper body as well while I'm in the shower, especially here, because when I'm stressed out, these limbs right in here swell. And then the one behind my neck. So you can look at the different ones on that chart, and I just gently massage. My favorite is to massage my points in the shower because the hot water has softened everything. My body is loose. I feel great. And the results, I feel those right away. Or I will massage once I get out of the shower, put some moisturizer on just to make it smooth so there's no friction. If I see or feel my ankles swelling from too much sitting, I know exactly what to do to rescue myself now. Stretch and massage my lymph glands. So the second person here on this slide is James Moore. His handle is there under his picture, James Moore Wellness. He is a massage therapist that demonstrates positions and moves that really relax your muscles. This man will have you in a pretzel, but you will feel so much better after the acrobatics. Just simple moves you can do daily to release the tension and stress, and also to decompress your spine. So I've gone over the 4 points of the North Star action plan. So lather, rinse, repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat. Face those hindrances and then write out your action plan. And do not feel guilty about you breathing first, meaning cutting time out of your schedule for you. Take some time for yourself to reset you. Do something for yourself that is vital to your wellness and future state sustainability on a regular basis. The airlines have always instructed us to put our oxygen mask on first, then help others put theirs on. This message is not a call to selfishness. That's not what I'm saying, but rather a call to balance for better future sustainability and centering yourself. Post my crazy years is when I realized I was always helping others with their mask. And then I didn't have the strength to put mine on. In reality, it's just that simple. Facing off with your hindrances and taking better self-care from a holistic approach, you can intentionally reverse the negativity to find your center, calm, then a new beginning. Of course, one of my major goals for me was to finish school. Not only did I finish my undergrad, but as well, as you know, I finished a master's because I've gotten to the PhD. I finished that as well. Whatever you wrote as your goal today, stay focused and begin to write out your roadmap to reach it. If you have always wanted a bakery, then start finding those farmers markets like I spoke about earlier. I greatly appreciate all of your patience, all of your time, and I give the floor back to you, Dr. Geiger.
Thank you so much. It was interesting. I was kind of getting caught up. I had my arms up and I was exercising. You had me laughing there for a minute, Dr. Hedgspeth. It's our pleasure to host you again. We do have a question for you. So give me a second to pull that up here. Here is your question. How do you keep yourself focused on your goal? I create New Year's resolutions and never follow up. And they gave a laugh out loud with that.
Yeah.
So that is, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, I never create New Year's resolutions. I don't do it. I don't do it because I never did follow up on them for whatever reason. When you use that term, like I don't use the term diet. because then I'll just binge. Stop making New Year's resolutions and just seriously take yourself serious. Write your goals down any month of the year. Don't wait for a new year. That's a lot of, we do that, but don't wait. Remember, I used to audit and assess myself in October. That's no new year. Not in America, at least, So don't do New Year's resolutions. Do daily walks. Do weekly walks with yourself where you're checking the last notes to say, okay, just pick one step. And how can I move forward with this one step? And then the next week, do your next step. Lather, rinse, repeat.
Great advice there. Another question for you about goal setting. For goal setting, I mean, it sounds easy. Where would you start, personal or professional goals?
I would start, you can do them dual though, because I did dual as well, but I would start with personal because that's your springboard. Who you are is your springboard. So you can't take your whole self into the professional realm and be optimized if you're not well internal. That inner world is disruptive, So I would say start out with your personal, but then once you're feeling a little better about yourself, then add in the career part. But I did both at a certain point, but I started out with personal because I was very ill. I got very ill with sarcoidosis.
Well, I can see that. I can see that being a challenge if you have a long list of goals. Maybe setting minimal or a small amount of realistic goals first may also be a good suggestion. We have another question. I think we have time for this. Your question is, what is the most effective way to exterminate those pesky internal termites? Or using your terminology here, specifically the ones that make us doubt ourselves and question our own capabilities. That's a really good question.
It really is. And so if you have a faith, first seek your faith, because that's what I did. I stayed in prayer. And then you want to prove those termites wrong. You want to prove those termites wrong and just break out one day. Just be gangster about it. Break out one day and just do one of the things the voices are telling you that you can't do. And that way you're starting to get the victory. You're starting to overcome. Just break out and do it. Don't because fear that's what grips us is fear. It intimidates us, but that's just an emotion. Get past the emotion part. Don't take it personal. Be gangster about it. And just out of your goals, just pick one and just do it. Just do it. If you like writing poetry, then you sign yourself up. And you hear the termites saying, oh, I can't do that. I can't stand in front of people. Go sign up for an open mic night at Spoken Word.
Right.
And just go and just do it. Every time I was just sharing with Dr. Geiger and her crew today, every time I do a webinar, my hands are sweating when I start out. Every time. But every time I say I'm going to do it. So just bust out and do it. But make sure you write a list of things that you're afraid of. Then do it. You're afraid of skydiving? Sign up.
I love it. You're adventurous, Dr. Hedgspeth. That's awesome. You have another question. They keep coming. I think we have time for this. Any tips on tackling the night owl in me? And this is from Mary Young, who's asking this. Thank you so much, Mary.
Okay, Mary, we are twinning because my mother, even as a child, she called me a nighthawk. And I will be up easy 2 o'clock. I've even stayed up to 3 and 4 and then got into bed and then popped up and went to work. Am I optimal when I get to work? Most time I'm dragging until I pop that first Pepsi. I don't know. Mary, the way I've been looking at it the last few years, it's not necessarily a bad thing. There are people born to be first shift, people born to be second shift and third shift. And I've kind of accepted that I'm second and third shift sometimes. But that's not the most healthiest if we have to work first shift. So I have been coaching myself. That's one of the things I'm doing now, coaching myself to stay up the very latest, maybe 1. So my goal is 11:30, but it usually lands on 1 o'clock when I get in the bed. But set a goal, set it 11:30 or 12, and then just shut lights off and get in the bed. And you have to train yourself. Like we have trained ourselves. We've been up. We love being up. We're just late people, but we live in first shift world. So train yourself to go to bed early. Cut TV off. Make sure, and this is what I do, because at night when I sleep, I have on soft meditation piano music with birds tweedling. You can find it all out on YouTube. Tweedling, but I don't let any blue light screen. Like after a certain hour, I am not looking at my phone. And then I put a cover, I put a pillowcase over the screen while it plays the music, so there's no blue light disrupting my sleep. Blacken your room and set that time, 11:30 or 12, get in the bed and train yourself to do that. You have done great things in your life so far. You can do this one too.
Thank you so much. Well, Dr. Hedgspeth, I think so far those are the questions. If any other come our way, we'll make sure that we get those over to you. But we thank you again. It's great to have you back. We look forward to part 3, Self-Care Series 103, Leading a Better You, with your North Star plan for goal setting and adopting leadership principles for better life management. We're looking forward to that talk. Until next time, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.